So some of you might know I'm a photographer. I have a studio here in Hamburg, and I am familiar with the creative process of making images, posting images, the entire kind of workflow. When you're creating with AI, the inspirations pretty much come from the same place. It's still a creative process. You got to kind of define the colors, the look, where you want it to be. All of these things you can now do digitally, but it's the same process. AI outputs are only as interesting as the creative brief you can give it. The Soviet apartment, the leather mask you've just seen, all of those things came from an actual creative direction, not just from a prompt. The first thing I want to talk about is how do you actually get inspiration? Now this is going to look different from artist to artist. I personally like to do it on my phone. I get a lot of inspirations through the reels I scroll, which is not the best way in my opinion, but it is a way. Now I can go here and show you my repost. This is all stuff I see on a regular basis that inspire me to make something. Now, as you can see, a lot of it is sort of editorial, fashion-esque photography, which is personally what I do and what I work with. But this can look different for any person. It's about the process here. Alright, so let's take a look at how I get my actual inspirations. A lot of it for me is through Instagram. Personally, I'm a photographer. I post a lot of my work on there, and I get a lot of people's work back when I scroll reels. And I try to look for things that inspire me, and a lot of times I just try to repost them. So if we go to the repost of my profile, you will see a lot of inspirations. Now let's say you wanted to recreate some of these images with AI. First you got to think about what makes AI actually worth using. So some of these things, some of these simple portraits where it's just about the makeup or something, I really do believe if you just watch the YouTube video on making that kind of makeup and you give it a good try, you can make something that just looks better than AI. So we don't really want to go for something like this because the edge isn't there in AI. Now, some things that I personally thought about is things that require heavy VFX. Anything that requires heavy VFX, you might need like a studio behind you, need people, you need money. But with AI, a lot of times you can just generate it with no actual issue. Stuff like perfect symmetry. When you see like images where it's just like beautiful symmetry kind of continuing, a lot of those things are very hard to achieve practically and look really nice when you make them in AI. Materials that don't exist is also a good one. This kind of bleeds into the VFX area, but for example here I have an image of a woman who looks kind of like her skin is porcelain. That might be difficult to achieve in real life and might not be as difficult to achieve with AI. I'm personally not sure if she used AI. Here's one where it looks like her skin is jeans. Yeah, so that could be very much a point where you have the edge. Another thing I like is dangerous locations, or at least locations you might not be able to get into normally. This could be a lot of things. What I've seen, for example, is airplanes. Now, it would be incredibly difficult to get into a hangar, to get a private jet, to film on top of it. You would have to have licenses, so it's not something you see every day because it is that difficult. But with AI, again, you can make it. You can even edit the image and have an actual professional photo shoot done first, and then put that nice picture of the model on the airplane on top of it, maybe on the side of the wing, and shoot from inside. It could be very interesting. You could leverage AI, and that's something that not a lot of people could do. Or things you could just do in camera, I wouldn't use AI because it's usually just not worth it. It still takes a long time to generate these things, to think about these things. So for a lot of things, it's like, what is the point? In this whole video, I'll be using my RTX 3060 to generate these images, which is already way too low. You would need still top-of-the-line hardware to really do this nicely and to get the best quality, or use closed software. I'll have a little section on that later. So one of the easiest things I like to do is to take an inspiration, give it to Claude, get a prompt. That is really the easiest thing you can do. I don't want to take work from others, so I'm going to take a look at my own pictures here real quick. Which one should we recreate? I want to do something that's not too difficult. I'm also just going to go with the first one. This is kind of cool. I'm going to take a screenshot here. It's very easy. And then I'm going to go to Claude. So we do love to use Claude here. Give me a good Z-Turbo prompt. Z-Turbo is the model we're going to be using for this video. I'm personally a big fan of it. I think it's a great local open model to make really cool pictures. So should be enough for it to figure it out. Okay, doesn't look too bad. And it's already helping us out a lot. Now, for the images I made in the beginning of the video and that I will generally be using as examples in this video, I had to do a lot of back and forth. This isn't the end. Like, you might generate the image now, not like it, you gotta change the prompt until you're happy with the prompt. And once you're happy with the prompt, you still will want to generate a bunch of different images and see which final versions you like. AI is non-deterministic, so usually the outputs will all be different, and you might need to do a lot of runs to get a seed that you like. So let's take a look at ComfUI and the actual stuff we're going to be doing today. Now, I'm going to have links to the workflows down below. I'm not going to go too deep into the actual workflows today. It's more about the actual creative process of making good AI videos. Now, the first thing is just kind of about the easiest way to get inspiration. Take an image, get AI to give you a prompt, and now we're gonna try it out. And I'm gonna put it right into my workflow. This is Z-Turbo, great model. There's a bunch of stuff online to check it out, and we'll see what it generates. So I think this is one of the easiest way to start making creative prompts and creative AI images. It is basically stealing, I would call, a little bit of inspiration, but you can just make these prompts and get these images. Now I'm gonna have them up right here. Some are better, some are worse. That's why you want to generate as many as you can and figure out a seed you really like for the generation. Now, this was just an example to show you like the easiest way to do something. And we're gonna take a bit of different examples that I've already worked on for this video though. So number one is the airplane one that I've talked to you about before, because this is something that is genuinely hard to do. And another one is the Soviet apartment style picture that I've made. Now, for the airplane picture, it was very similar to what we did here. I pretty much just copied an idea I saw in Adobe Firefly from the Instagram account and made it a bunch of times and figured out which one I liked the best. Now, for the other image, I actually kind of went in my own direction. I didn't take anything from another image, but I had to go over and over with Claude. I also kept on giving it the picture back and telling what I didn't like about it, so it knew kind of what the prompt generated and what I wanted to change. Now this worked so-so. After you do it like 5 or 6 times, the AI answers you get are really, really bad and doesn't seem to help a lot. But you can still kind of manually edit the prompts to figure some stuff out. You also don't have to actually create images completely from scratch. I'm a big fan of Qwen Image Edit, the new 2.5.11 model I really like. I'll show you what I did here with this image actually, and I think it turned out really cool. And I think when you combine stuff you can do in camera and AI visuals, it can be really powerful. This video is about video generation, so why do we keep making images? This is very simple, because for proper video generation I would always go I2V. That's image to video, because when you do text to video, it usually just doesn't look good. When you're able to make those images, you can quickly iterate and you can make different kind of compositions. And once you make the video, the composition stays the same. With text to video, the compositions just change, go all over the place, and I don't think the quality is there. I think it's better when AI gets more information about what you actually want. It will always create a better output. Here's how I actually bring them to life. This is my own Wan2.2 image to video workflow. I will have a version of that online for sure. But it's pretty simple and powerful. Now, we need another prompt. Usually I also give it to Claude to make the second prompt. It's a motion prompt where it sort of explains a little bit the image you give it, but it's more about the actual movement. So here you can see slow cinematic orbital camera move around a glass makeup bottle in the market surface. So it explains a little bit what it is, but it talks about the motion. Now, the settings and stuff are very personal. I like to generate at 720p and upscale it to 1080p. I think kind of full HD 1080p is like where you want to be when you upload anything, because most devices are full HD. I think that's the standard nowadays. Anything below that will work a lot faster and is good for iterations. But once you upload it, it's not going to look too good. Depending on the upscaler, you can generate AI stuff in just lower quality and upscale it really well. But this is kind of the sweet spot I have found for myself. So in this case, I'm not going to run it because we've already run it before. We already ran it before. And I'm just going to show you real quick. No, it's not here in the output folder. As you can see, we have a lot of outputs. Definitely have to go organize that. Here, it's in video. So, there we go. Again, I had different images I ran several iterations of it. So you can see here, one of these images is more bright. And I also ran it in I2V. So yeah, I think it looks very nice actually. And we have different versions of it, depending on what you like. So what is this scene specifically missing? Audio, of course. This is another thing. Wan2.2 doesn't make any audio. And I think it's very important to have audio to be more immersed inside the scene. So I have made a little workflow using MMAudio. Again, I will have a workflow for that below. I have a link for that below. And then you can use it too. Now the prompt is exactly what the prompt for the actual airplane image was, because I think it has enough description of the noise and stuff, so I don't really mind using it. Now we're gonna run it too. And you will get something like this. Now I know the difference is very small, but this is a great way to add immersion and just quality to your videos. Now for the last part, after we've finally created the audio, we've created the composition, we've animated it, you should still edit it. Like with anyone filming anything or making images, you edit them. I retouch my images and I edit my videos. So like a generated video isn't finished. There's still a lot of tools you can use. So let's talk about what AI is actually used for. Now, personally, I don't really make a lot of AI videos. I'm very interested in making the workflows, kind of building the systems around it. I think AI can be very powerful for that. But anytime I generate locally, I just don't feel the quality is there. Now, a lot of closed software stuff you might have heard, which is like Google's Nano Banana, Higgs Field VFX, Motion Control. There's a lot of websites, a lot of companies selling stuff to you. And some of these models are really the best out there. They will give you better quality, they'll look good, they will be generated in 10 seconds. So there's a lot of benefits to using closed software. But I personally really like using open source software. It gives you full control of everything you want to do. Also, you're able to build these kind of workflows and things yourself, which means if you ever wanted to sell a product, if you wanted to sell an online website like that, you're building the backend and you're free to use the backend. So I think that is very, very powerful and very good. And I also have a problem with kind of big companies taking full control of this. And I like that there is a way for us normies, so to say, to also make AI videos and to also use the actual technology. To say where this local AI stuff actually works for me is number one, faceless YouTube channels. Now, I personally like the kind of Warhammer 40k lore, where they just talk about for hours lore. It's all AI written, it's all from different books, from different data sets. Ran through AIs, and the visualizations of it are usually images with just a little transition effect, and recently there have been like more kind of animated looking visuals. I think local AI is totally fine for that. I think you can easily use it for that, make the sound, make the voice over, and it looks pretty good, and there's definitely some interest in it. Number two, product mockups and ads. I've shown you this video right here, which is what I made for a fake ad, let's say some kind of beauty treatment or whatever. I think when you do take a picture of a product, image edit into a nice scene, like a nice kind of product shot, and then animate it with Wan2.2, you can get a really good and nice result that you could put in between scenes that I don't think most people would notice. I think it would just look good if you take your time. VFX pre-visualizations, anything that's pre-visualization, any mock-up. I've personally used this for some of my photo shoots where I would make an image in AI and then make it in real life. This is something where it's really nice that on your laptop, kind of at home, you can go through iterations, you can see how different things look. It doesn't have to be perfect, it's more about the idea of the look. And you can really kind of hone it down and then make it yourself. This goes for videos too. I don't make a lot of videos except for these YouTube videos, but if you were to make like creative scenes, I'm sure you could use it for that too. Of course, just experimentation. It can be fun to experiment with new tools, and even though I believe they're not there fully yet, this is a matter of time. I hope that we will get kind of some of the more closed software we see today will be made open source later on, and we get more powerful tools in the future, and at that point there might be a strong possibility that you can just run these things on your own consumer hardware and actually make really good videos and images with them. If you want to go deeper on character replacement, check out my video right here on Wan2.2 Animate. If you want a full technical AIO setup where it's all in one, check out my video right here. It makes running Wan2.2 just a little bit easier. All my workflows are on Civet AI. I'll see you next time.